So let's just start with where are you from?
So originally, I'm
Yes.
from Nashville, Tennessee,
Okay.
but I don't really know or feel like if I'm from anywhere anymore. Maybe Tucson, Arizona, that's where I'm at right now. But that just comes up and changes so much. Like I'm always all over the place. I spent a bunch of time in China, so it's kind of hard to say, where I'm from at this point. But if we talk about hometown, we can go back to Nashville. That's the good old place.
You were born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep, yep. Soon as I turned 18, I was kind of,
I'm mad at you.
life in the fast lane. It just kind of like you just kind of get thrown into life, and you're like, well, I guess I'm here now.
Right? Yeah, for sure. So you turn 18, you start traveling. Where you went? First move that you make.
Actually, where did I go first? I think I went and did like I went and did henna tattoos on the beach in North Carolina. Do you remember? I don't know this. I don't know if this is something you guys would know down there, but we had a really big flood in Nashville.
Okay.
And when we had this flood, it kind of like took out a lot of businesses. The job that I had at that time, literally, we lost it. It was gone. We didn't have a job. That thing was left. Like all that there was to do was to go help other people who got flooded. It was crap. You know what I mean? So that
Wow.
was actually what kind of prompted me to kind of push forward and get out of there. But yeah, I literally went and lived on the beach for couple seasons, just literally doing tattoos, selling things, having a good time. It was wild, man. It
Oh,
was
that's
it was
great.
a
That's
wild
great.
way.
All right, all right. And who told you, hey, let's get started on cell phones, or how do you came up with this idea of getting into electronics?
Okay, so that is a whole that starts all the way. I got pictures from when I'm a little kid. You know what I mean? So,
Okay. Good.
my mother, she was a sysadmin. You know what I'm saying? She took care of a whole company, every single computer IT hat you can wear. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I would go to, your parents watch you at work. They take you in and they're like, "Don't move. You sit right there. You have Pokemon. Play it." So, I would go to work with her and, she's doing everything. One day I would come in and catch her, upgrading somebody's computer. The next day I would come in and she'd be literally encoding music for another department. Like all the hats, right? So
Okay.
software wise, she was a really big influence on that. And then my father is an electrical engineer. He can do micro soldering. You know what I mean? Like my father right now works in a factory doing more like through hole. But for the most part, he's a maintenance engineer, and all he does is fix stuff. You know what I mean? It kind of runs in the family. So really early on for me, I just was kind of in it. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure I can dig up a picture right now of me sleeping under my desk trying to fix my computer when I'm like super young. So I've always kind of been passionate about it. Um, but yeah, I kind of I don't think there was anybody who kind of got me into that outside of it just being an influence from my family. I remember my buddy John and I were actually talking about opening a repair store a couple years before we started seeing them in like the malls and stuff. And we were really excited about it. And what year was this? I can't remember, but more of the story is nobody really had any of the kiosks in the mall weren't really a thing yet. You know what I'm talking about? Back in the good old days, no, some crazy stuff. We're super early, and we kept trying to convince our boss at the time. We were like, this is the same guy that we were working for, traveling around doing like the henna tattoo, serial entrepreneur kind of guy. You know what I mean? And bring him an idea, he'll do it. But for some reason, he was not about the phone repair idea. He was like, no, that just sounds all kind of expensive and hard, and I don't want to. Where are we going to figure that out? Like anything. It was kind of a weird situation for him to not really be interested in it. Which, mind you, he is now. But we, um, but yeah, so there was talks of it. We actually just didn't get to do it. You know what I mean? And I think when I finally actually jumped the boat and got in and was working at a shop, you know what I mean? Um, I basically transitioned from working for him and a couple of buddies over to a friend of mine who was opening up repair stores all over the country. You know what I mean? So I had already been playing with stuff for years. I had already been, basic soldering, all that kind of stuff. I'd been doing it for years. Just, the whole like I'm just doing it at home and it's really crappy kind of
Correct.
stuff where you're not really like pro level, but you're good. You know what I mean? You're all right. And once I started working for them, it was like, you know what I mean, bro. You got it in your heart too. I can see, I see your office. I know what the deal is. It just lit up like fire, and I just, as fast as I could run toward it, and I've just been running ever since.
All right, all right. And so I see some of your videos. You travel to China. You spend
Yes.
time there. Uh, what took you there? What was the reason?
So if we're going into like career professional reason, everything like that, that's easy. I've been done trying to get to China. I've been trying to convince every single person I ever met my whole life in this industry to send me to China. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, it's really difficult to say, oh, I'm going to move to China and have a professional shop. You can't, it's very difficult to do both. In fact, for me, doing both was a very big strain on my life. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to do. So, that part of it was an issue, right? But there was an opportunity that presented itself. A vendor, a friend of mine, Injured Gadgets, they literally kind of made this little cryptic posting online talking about, we're kind of looking for somebody to do something somewhere far away for a long time. And I immediately was like, somebody's going to China. Somebody's going to China. And, I end up talking to him a little bit, and for me, I was just interested because I'm up in everybody's business. You can already tell I'm a talker. I'll just start asking you questions about your life. You'll be like, hey, how do we flip the interview? You know what I mean? But I'm asking him questions, talking to him about it. And slowly but surely, I'm like, man, I want to do this. I want to get out there and do this. And for me, at this point, I've scoured the internet for every little bit of information on this side of the Great Firewall. You know what I mean? And I know in my repair heart that the only way to get to that next level for me was to go over there and like basically put my money where my mouth was. You know what I mean? Because we have all got theories, we've all got thoughts about repair. We've all we've all got it. You know what I mean? Like, you probably have like 10 ideas a day for the industry that you're like, oh, if only. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I see this opportunity, I kind of figure out all the logistics of it, and I realized to myself, like, if I'm following the true theory of life, which is to follow your passion and to take it as far, like, if you channel yourself into this whatever vibration of whatever your passion is so hard enough that you're going to live that happy life. For me, that was like, I have no choice but to do this. You know what I mean? So when I got over there, I immediately, got into every stupid thing I could think of, tool design, part design, batteries, whatever you could get, tempered glass. I walked into every single factory. If it's like, if you listen to me, I'm going to talk. If you open the door, I'm coming in. And I just used that opportunity to its fullest, like, for sure. You know what I mean? So why I did that, I think we all know why I did that now. I think it was just I think it was a circumstance that worked out. You know what I mean? But absolutely.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And especially, it's like going to the mainland of cell phones, right? It's like the heart of everything is technology.
I talk about the journey to the center of repair just because I think it's funny. You know what I mean? And for me, that was taking that shovel and digging and getting to that center. You are totally right. Like, just existing, like, for me, like, it's like this, like the repair ether. You know what I mean? Like, you got this whole universe around you of different types of repair. Yesterday, I bought a book. It literally is, the book's title is How to Fix Damn Near Anything. It's a great book. And there's just the whole ether over there in Shenzhen, in Hong Kong. It's like one big mega city. Have you been?
No, never been.
Okay. It's like one big mega city that's crossed by a river. It's not, the only difference is, clearly there is a slight cultural difference between the two. But you just go over there and you walk across the border, give them your thing, and you got the other one. So each side has its own, like, it's like the left and right brain. Does that make sense? The
Yeah,
left and right side of the brain. So you go over there and, you go to Shenzhen, and you've got this just like the logical working side that just is like, let's get this done. You know what I mean? Like, we are getting this done today. And then you got the Hong Kong side where you go over there and you've got this like discussion of ideas, and you're not, it's not an end of a conversation that's like, how can I help? It's more of a conversation that's like, hey, what about this? You know what I mean? So, they both have this like part of the brain, and it's the soul of the repair ether, you know what I mean? And like being over there, there there are so many repair shops that it's just like, I lived in my apartment was above the chip market. You can't get away from it. It's everywhere. Even when you think you're outside of it, you're not. It's nuts. But you're right. It's wild.
Yeah. For how long do you stay there?
Close to a year and a half. Close to a year and a half. I think I came home maybe every couple months for a couple weeks at a time, just to kind of make sure I'm still American, that kind of thing, what I'm saying? Get some burgers, But yeah, I'd say very consistently for close to a year and a half, enough to know some people now, some really, really good people.
So you went there with Injured Gadgets as far
Correct.
as
they contracted out the art of repair to basically go over there, and if they need it, I got you. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of what I do now, industry consultant. So, if somebody legit needs like unfiltered repair, you already know how you're talking to me. If you want that unfiltered repair, that's what they brought me over there for. Because in that moment, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can have ideas, right? But you have to have the translation. You have to have the context. You have to have, you got to be able to make it all happen, right? Correct. For me, they literally were like, hey, we're literally bringing you over here so that we're going to say, hey, we have this idea, or maybe you have this idea, whatever you want to work on. It was kind of like a blank check, right? It was just like, hey, we recognize what you're up to. You know what I'm saying? If you have thoughts, ideas, concerns, so on and so forth, let's just make them a thing, right? So, yeah, it was just, yo, dog, we're going to let you go and live it up over there. And we're going to give you things that you already want to do for work. And you're just going to have a good old time. And that, yeah, it worked out great. You know what I mean? Like, at least for me, I think we came out with some really good products, but for the most part, it worked out great for me. I loved it.
Yep. So, and to everybody that doesn't know Injured Gadgets is a company that sells a lot of parts.
Right. So they're based out of the United States. They cater to basically whoever, whenever, however, do it yourself, professional, whatever you got. You know what I'm saying? They do still carry the stuff, you know what I'm saying, that we did make over there. So if you guys want to check that out, personally, they're just good friends of mine, and I wouldn't say nothing bad about them. You know what I mean? But they're good dudes.
Yeah. So to whoever who knows or whoever wants to order parts, Injured Gadgets is the best. It's a good company to order. So you went over there, you come back, and then how the YouTube channel was created on that process?
So the YouTube channel actually kind of pulls back to, if I'm being honest, my buddy John that I spoke about earlier, the one that was like originally, like, we kind of had the thought together like years and years ago to do this. He, at the time when I first started the channel, was running an SEO company, helping people do marketing, so on and so forth. And, you can go online and you can meet the people that like kind of know, because they're pushing themselves, right? The people that know what they're talking about generally don't talk to the public because they're so dang busy doing their thing. They ain't got no time for it. You know what I'm saying? He was one of those people, and we basically lived together. You know what I'm saying? He was my roommate, right? And over some years of me doing repair, and even before that, one of my big complaints was, man, there's not really a channel that just hits that techniques, tips, and tricks thing, right? Like, when you go to a repair channel, you go and you learn how to do this on this phone.
Yep.
You don't learn, and just spoiler alert, and I don't know when this is going to air, but tomorrow, my video that's coming out is the parallel line theory, right? It's basically the theory of how you interact with your motherboard of tweezers. Who talks about that? Nobody talks about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that, like, I was always complaining that there wasn't some broad spectrum, like, apply it all kind of stuff. Does that make sense? So I kept complaining about this. And when you've got your boy who's a professional marketer, who works for who does the thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, his own companies were just flourishing easily, no problem, right? When you've got somebody like that listening to you all the time, if you know the man, I'll tell you what, he will tell you when he just like, it's kind of like talking to me, you know what I'm saying? If I've got an opinion, you're going to know it. You know what I mean? And his opinion was, boy, you know a lot of stuff about making videos, not to be making videos. And you're talking about all this channel stuff, and you could just be doing it yourself instead of
Right.
complaining about it. And I'm like, oh, but I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm working. I got the shop. It's hard. Blah. You know what I mean? I'm whining, I'm moaning about it, and he just said, that's a cool excuse, except for the fact that other people are doing it in other industries, and you're just being a crybaby about it. You just need to figure it out. And I'm like, I'm so busy, you know, the whole thing.
Yep.
And one day he just was like, yo, dude, like, I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, you either do it or I'm going to judge you for it now. Oh, your boy's going to judge you now.